We've just been talking about DeFi, and we've been talking about all the things that are going wrong and what could go right. But this panel is all about what do we have to shove through Congress and why we have to lobby like crazy and call our Congress people and educate them. I would say edumacate them because they're definitely pedestrians in this particular arena. But we have Josh and David come to the stage. Let's scoot down a little bit because then the podium, we gotta make sure everybody can see. Okay. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you. We're talking about my favorite thing, which is regulations and law and compliance and due diligence and all of the fun things that everybody usually ignores when they come up with a token project. They go, I'm going to make a unicorn, and I'm just going to do, and I go, lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV sometimes. That's why I brought you lawyers.
We're lawyers.
I only play a lawyer on TV most days, so.
Okay.
I only watch TV.
Brief introduction.
Hi, I'm Josh Lawler. I'm a partner at Zuber Lawler. We are a 50 or so attorney firm in the United States, 7 offices. We focus on emerging areas of industry and technology. I spend most of my time focusing on distributed ledger technology.
My name is David Silver. I used to be a real lawyer until about 2014. In 2014, I fell down the rabbit hole of crypto. I was working at one of the largest law firms in the world. I left and I started suing crypto exchanges. Between 2014 and 2018, if there was a lawsuit in crypto in this country, it had my name on it. And I believe I started a cottage industry. I think a lot of people should thank me because a lot of lawyers have jobs because I just went around suing everybody. It was great.
Oh, you're my people. Crypto.com won't let me back in, and I'm verified.
Aren't you going to the party on Monday? I'm sure they'll let you in. Just use my name.
Maybe. No, I'm leaving on Monday. So let's talk about the current state of affairs and why it doesn't work.
Okay, it doesn't work, and some people have mentioned this already today, because law can't keep up with technology. That's at the root, and it's an important root to understand. So if you look at like the beginning of time, technology goes like that, and we're probably here someplace. And if you look at legislation when that started in 1700 whatever in this country, it's kind of gone like that in terms of how fast it goes. So whenever you're presented with a new paradigm shift in technology, legislatures can only legislate what they can see, what they know, maybe a tiny little bit in the future. And right now, things move so fast that there is no chance. And the result of that is that the SEC, the CFTC, and everyone else cannot expect to get any help from Congress in any kind of meaningful way. So they're basically flailing, trying to fit all of this into their existing regulatory guidelines in order to preserve their policies and standards, which actually are pretty good. I mean, it's consumer protection, but that's important.
Yeah, but didn't a lawsuit just come down and it said that like the SEC can't make law, that the legislature has to make law, and that they're overstepping?
That's really funny. Because here's the thing, the legislature can't move fast enough, so not just in the securities context, but we saw it with the infrastructure bill and the IRS, and how the nodes have to record all the blockchain transactions, as if they even could. Legislature can't keep up, but they have to pass law, so they tend to kick it to the administrative bodies to kind of fill in the blanks, and yes, it's probably unconstitutional.
So I do something they call on Twitter, I do said differently. And because I do most of my lawyering on CNBC nowadays, I really have to distill everything into 15-second frames. So this is what I do for my children. Everything Josh just said is 100% accurate. But here's the problem. Nobody cares. And the SEC has been doing what's called enforcement, legislation by enforcement. They've taken the lowest hanging fruit. They've gone after crypto companies that have done something horrifically wrong, but they're not going after the big dogs. They're not going after people that fight back. And what they do is they get a default judgment, they get a civil fine that doesn't get paid back. Everyone says, oh my God, there's a judgment for $25 million. That $25 million doesn't get paid back. So what's happened here is the SEC is creating what they're calling new law and new procedures based on fighting against people who aren't fighting back. Ripple fought back. They were the first ones who have now gone toe-to-toe. We don't know how that's going to end. People who have seen me talk before, they all know I think Ripple's going to lose, and they're going to lose badly.
Really?
Unfortunately, yes.
I hope so.
Really?
Not necessarily based on securities either, but yeah, they should be nailed to the wall. That's being recorded.
They're going to lose because the government wins 90% of the time. And if you're in Vegas and you're gambling, never bet on the 10% underdog 100% of the time. It's a problem. So it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen here is something's going to change. And we're going to find that right now, the people who are affecting change most, Brian Armstrong, Sam Bankman-Fried, Jesse Powell, the Winklevi. I'm going to leave off someone who works at a company in Washington because I don't think he's really participating. But those 4 individuals are plugging money into the political system to legislate. They are going to do their own policies. If I had to guess, you're going to pick the people who are going to win, pick the people who are spending the most money. I don't agree with this, but I do think that we're going to see a push to giving the CFTC more power and take it away from the SEC, which is totally fine. There's
No, not so fine. Not so fine.
See,
No.
I get to sue people. I don't care.
Why is that not so fine?
Here's why it's not fine. Because the CFTC recently went after the holders of tokens of OKDAO who had voted by sending a complaint via chatbot to everybody about OKDAO having, being an unregistered commodity trading exchange.
Wait, am I allowed to ask questions when we're doing this?
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
okay,
Yes.
So are we okay with that, or are we saying that's
No.
bad?
No, wait. You're saying they served due process
by
via chatbot.
Right. They convinced a judge to do this without having any opposition. Now there's like 3 different nonprofits that have gone in with amicus briefs, and they should knock that out because that is stupidly unconstitutional.
Okay.
It is stupidly unconstitutional. That is not personal service.
No,
No.
it is personal. If you,
No, it's not personal because the judge has no jurisdiction over any of these
Chatbot.
human beings.
If you are working on a platform that can solicit you through that chatbot, and you give your money through that chatbot, then you should be allowed to be served through that chatbot.
No,
No.
because this is still America and they require due process. And if they're outside of America, then how does that judge have jurisdiction
let me
over them
draw
in the
the-
first place? It has to be personal freaking service. Do you know how
Yes.
many times I have wiped out things and voided them for lack of personal
So
service?
let me draw a distinction for you. And by the way, did you guys think the law regulatory was going to be Jerry Springer-esque? But that's what you've got. So here's a drawing.
That's why we're after break. That's why I was telling everybody I'm going to take
Yep.
it personally
Yep.
if you're not in here.
Anyways, so we have a situation where a subpoena was served by sending an NFT to somebody's wallet. And
Brilliant Stephen Polly. We give him full credit for that.
like Stephen, yeah.
Okay, no, I
brilliant
think,
move.
Well, I think that
the
is
thing
brilliant, but you sent it to a wallet,
but
not
no,
to a human.
Thank you, exactly. That's the thing. It went to the wallet that was involved in the issue that was creating the lawsuit, and a judge in New York said, yes, that's okay. And I agree with that as far as it
Okay,
goes.
so basically
fine.
they're suing the wallet.
But, right. They're doing service through the wallet.
No, they're serving the wallet because there is absolutely nothing that says that the person on the other end of that wallet who pushed the button was the person that they are suing. So therefore, if they only served the wallet is who's
Yeah,
getting sued.
they're comfortable. No, the wallet's not a natural person. It's not recognized
No
by the law.
kidding.
No, but the thing is...
Neither's
the
a
person-
corporation.
No, but they are recognized by the law. They actually file with the Secretary of State. So yes, they are recognized. The wallet is not. But putting that aside for a second, the point is it's presumed that whoever has the wallet hasn't sent the wallet somewhere else. Compared to the OKDAO situation, who the heck knows who had the token when they voted the token, or if they still have the token, or if they're still involved with OKDAO? Not to mention the fact that it's global. You're looking at a lot more default situations for those people, and it just intellectually makes no sense.
I represent people who lost money, and the only thing people care about who lost money is they want their money back. The only thing people who steal money want to do is they want to protect the stolen money like it's their own money.
Okay, can we go after the Spooky Boys fakers? Because I did the forensic accounting. I got it all the way back to the $1.8 million Treasury wallet. They used to have $8 million in it, but I got the whole trace, and they literally faked the Spooky Boys mint page, and you'd send them ETH instead of minting a token, and then I did it again. Not only did I do it, it was late. It was 60 days into a launch, no sleep.
So-
And then the FOMO counter got me, and I'm like, oh, I could mint another one. Oh, I could mint another 4. So they hacked me.
Yeah, they
I-
they human engineered you.
Yeah,
is what
they
did.
did.
But so that brings up a point though, which is good.
Who do
so
we sue?
Our current regulation, I don't think works because it's trying to put this stuff into boxes, but it doesn't mean all regulation is bad, and I kind of want to draw that out. Disclosure is not a bad thing, and the idea that a token project that's going to sell I hate the word utility tokens because you can be a utility and security at the same time, but a non-financial product token to the public, the idea that they have to put out disclosure from a Federal Trade Commission, consumer protection point of view, great, do that. The problem with it being a security is that it then messes up the trading liquidity from that point on because of the Exchange Act. So it's not that this stuff is not workable or fixable, it's just that it's not really likely to get fixed in any kind of time.
I could be wrong, but I think this is my 5th year doing that. I remember Michael inviting me for the first time. It was either 4 or 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, if we were having this conversation, people would have been, probably 5 years ago was the height of the ICO market. And we're sitting down and everyone... And I got booed off of every stage in 2016.
You were not well liked, dude.
I got booed off every single stage. Fortune ran an article about me saying in 2019 how I got vindicated. Their opening line, they called me a fat bulldog, which I didn't think was the nicest thing to say about me. I'm a little fat, but I didn't think it was the nicest opening. But what they said was, as we're sitting here, we were talking in the ICO craze, we were talking about, bullshit. And 90% of it was bullshit. And everyone knew it.
Shitcoins?
And everybody knew it. But now, the problem with legitimacy is how do you gain legitimacy? So as we're sitting here today, what should the regulations do? Again, I don't care if it's SEC, I don't care if it's CFTC, I don't care if it's the Gillibrand bill out of New York and Wyoming. All of these things are meaningless because ultimately, lobbyists protect big companies. The big companies are pouring money in. I'm staying at the Cosmopolitan now, and across from me, there's a huge video ad for Circle. Safe, speedy, government regulated. I'm suing Circle right now, and they're saying all 3 of those things aren't true. Their defense in the lawsuit is literally, we are not safe, we were hacked by international hackers, and all of the money that's lost is gone.
Wait, did you take a picture of their ad? Take a picture of their ad and send it to them.
I took a picture of their ad.
It's because they're currently literally so they're lying. So hold them in contempt.
I wish I had that power.
You should do that.
I don't even have that power with my own children.
You can file for contempt.
Let alone have that power over other people.
So we have to educate the judges too, because the judges,
Yeah, you have to educate the judges, but the law has to change to be something you can educate them to in the first place.
Or educate the public on jury nullification.
I like the way Sean put it from SALT. Also, build the tech. I'm at a point right now where I'd love to see the law actually change into a way that makes sense, and I think that it can over time. But I don't think it's ever going to hit the moving target. I don't know what they do with DEXs because it is peer-to-peer, all kinds of things of that nature. Build good tech. And you can build good tech and it's not illegal. And you don't have to ask permission. Just build good tech and be good stewards.
I strongly believe that Binance is the biggest target by the Department of Justice right now.
Agree.
And I personally do monthly meetings where we go over forensics, we go over tracing, we go over, how much money is being stolen.
Stolen?
Stolen.
From
laundered.
Binance?
No. Well, my clients are being hacked, but more often than not, I'd say 95% of the crypto forensics in the cases I'm involved in between 2015 and 2022, 90 to 95%, after going through mixers, which we can now bust through with forensic tracing, ends up being laundered at Binance. And now we end up having all these conversations. Here's what the law should be. If you steal money from someone in America, you have jurisdiction in America. I don't give a shit that the money went overseas. So what's happening right now is the fight that is coming is, does Binance operate in the United States? And my answer to that is hell yes. I'm like 0 for 3, but I've always described myself, I do tobacco litigation. Before.
also went through Binance.
Of course it did.
But they were here. I remember when I got kicked off. That should be enough.
And even Binance US that's here, by the way, still uses the back end of Binance, which is horseshit. But here's what's happening. They're buying America right now. They are buying. They bought magazines, publications. They're part of the Twitter deal. So the information is no longer pure. And this is across politics, this is across financial institutions. But now Binance is going to be the leading cause of problems in crypto. And there's going to be a moat. You're either with them or against them. But ultimately, that's where we're heading. And the government is, thankfully, I believe, on the right side on this topic.
Hold it up
Yeah, I
closer.
agree on that one.
I said hold it up closer.
I'm sorry.
Because we're recording, I want to make it easier on the editors. Okay, so
Do that. Okay, come on.
we're a little bit in chaos. Now, what about things like Uber? Uber broke the law and then strong-armed new legislation. Can we use that tactic?
Yes, it's called the moat. Warren Buffett, 101. Big a build moat, they cannot get to your castle. All of the big companies are building big moats. I learned in a case against one of the largest crypto exchanges in the US, there were basically 4 guys running in a back room with no technological experience. They were running billions of dollars in 2018. There was no security, there was no anything, and this platform crashed. And when the platform crashed, they said, oh, sorry. And they accidentally, because one of the 4 people, and this is all on Slack exchange, and one of the 4 guys took a picture of the Slack exchange, says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just hit delete and I deleted all the account information for all of the people involved in this, but it's okay, they have no money. All of their accounts have been forcefully liquidated on margin. And all they said publicly was, I'm sorry, there was a crash on our platform alone, because we all know there is no best price execution in crypto. Every exchange is its own price modularization. So if you buy a Bitcoin on Coinbase, if you buy one on Kraken, Poloniex, Bittrex, Gemini, they're all different prices. There's no homogenization. So what happened there was they just said there was a crash on our exchange, the auto liquidation happened, you're out. That was one of my favorite lawsuits. That one bought me a house.
Yeah, it's a little bit better now in terms of killing the arbitrage between platforms. But I want to reframe it a little bit, though, because that's a great argument in terms of regulating centralized companies, right? And we're talking about a decentralized industry. We're talking about a technology that actually can work around the need to have that type of centralized single point of failure. I think it's safe to say, based on what you just said. And,
or a founder dying with the keys in their pocket.
Or a founder dying with the keys in their pocket and surfacing in Asia. Yeah,
He's
not dead.
Not dead. I know.
But the point I'm getting to, though, is that the regulations really got to look in a different direction because we're dealing with a different technology paradigm. The idea is spreading out from that single and greed/fear motivated single provider to something that is beyond borders. And again, I'm giving kind of people a little bit of extra credit from a human nature perspective, but I think that there are people who are truly trying to do some good things.
So I have a question.
Wait, I got one. I think Alex Mashinsky was a good guy. I think he was trying to do good in the world.
I do.
See? I don't.
You don't?
I don't. That was sarcasm 101.
No.
That was sarcasm.
I'm blonde. You have to be nice.
I'm staying neutral.
You have to be careful. I'm gullible. No,
he gave a speech. He was a great salesman. He sold, banked the unbanked. Your money is just as safe as me.
No, I got that, but here's the whole point is that the entire DeFi market was starting to move into let's be like banks. Well, banks are fractional reserve banks backed by the Federal Reserve. They need more money, they get more money. Crypto is backed by whatever the frick deposits they have, and that's it.
No, but I don't think their DeFi is trying to move into be like banks.
No, not DeFi, okay, but the centralized...
the centralized DeFi.
The centralized DeFi.
That was sarcasm too.
Oh, well, because my question is this. How can they regulate peer-to-peer contracts? Is that not constitutionally allowed that I am allowed to contract with anyone else without any intermediaries and the government is not allowed to step in and say horseshit to me?
No, they can void a contract for being against public policy. The catch is logistically, it's really, really, really hard to catch all those. The reason we regulate at the centralized levels is it's the choke points. It's the broker-dealers, it's the exchanges. We can get our hands on those people.
It's where our exit points are.
So Poloniex, before they got sold in 2018, they claimed to have a peer-to-peer lending model where you would lend, you would get higher interest rates for more risk exposure on different assets. So when there's a crash that happens, we sue them over the crash. They came back and they said, even though in big letters it says peer-to-peer lending, guess what? It wasn't peer-to-peer lending. And someone in that case coined a new phrase for me. And I am probably in the minority in this room, but let me tell you something, it's the best phrase in crypto because it's true. They called it decentralization theater. Because there is no such thing as decentralization. There is someone who built something on one endpoint to another endpoint, and that person is profiting off it. So there's no true. So whenever someone says, "Oh, this is true decentralization," it may be created one day. I'm not saying it's not, but there's no such thing as true decentralization today.
How many angels can dance on the head of a pin?
There are so many angels that can dance on the head of a pin, but I have yet to meet one in real life.
Fair enough.
That is hilarious. So where do we go? You're suing people. You and I are going to play. I got some targets for you and evidence.
I have lots of time and people who work for me. I just play a lawyer on TV.
Oh.
Go watch the CNBC special this week. They just did it on the crypto crocodile, the Bitfinex couple who got caught laundering. They did a 30-minute special on it. I'm the last 5 minutes of it. It's fantastic. It was on, they were doing snippets all week, but that girl singing her rap, I did not work for 3 days after that story broke. I loved that whole story. Forget the 4.5 billion and who gets the money, because that's going to be a case that literally turns crypto around. If Bitfinex gets $4 billion, they're suddenly a real player again. I mean, they're a real player now, but an extra $4 billion is going to do them right in their mind.
So those of us who are crypto natives, crypto OGs, what do we do to move this forward? Do we have to start doing continuing education classes for all of Congress, which most of them are lawyers, so, we got to dumb it down. But I'm teasing, because really only my favorite blockchain lawyers.
This is the highest level of sarcasm on any panel at CoinAgenda that you're
Yes.
going to find.
Yes.
And I have some great home movies, by the way, video on my phone, so they're good. What do we do?
What do we do? What can we do positively to impact the future of blockchain so we can have mass consumer adoption safely, where we don't have these civilians out there getting suckered into fake spooky boys?
So this will sound pretty obvious, but let's start by not ripping people off. The people who know better should know better. All the rug pull projects out there, all the kind of like shaky tech, and I've probably represented over 100 projects in the last 5 years, and I get that there are business pressures. There's people who can't afford to do what they want to do as fast as they want to do it. And
But don't buy a Dex on Fiverr.
Yeah, something like that. Don't buy a
Start
Dex.
with that.
Yeah,
don't buy a Dex on
Don't buy a
Fiverr.
Dex on Fiverr. And then, there's, from a regulatory perspective, I don't think that I see a path where the existing government structure catches up to technology. So smart people should be thinking about maybe some alternatives.
Anybody from Toronto here? I want to make fun of Toronto for a second. So when I go to Toronto every couple of weeks, I feel like Toronto is like what living in Philadelphia in the 1980s was like. So government is like Philadelphia in the 1980s. It's not catching up for another 20 years. So you guys have 20 years to play in the sandbox, do what you want to do. But someone next to me might have stolen my favorite line, because normally I start up here when I'm with 4 lawyers. One will be from Perkins, one will be from, Paul Weiss, who's doing a lot of the exchange work nowadays. You have Skadden Arp, who's representing Ripple. I normally just stand up and say, don't steal money. This is easy. Don't steal. Criminals belong in jail.
I used to be at Skadden, and I still say don't steal.
See? But Skadden now says it's okay to steal. If you pay them the $1,500 an hour, it's okay to steal. But they did do my escrow agreements. I did pay Skadden $250,000 on how to legally do an escrow agreement where I can hold your crypto, hold your machines, and hold your property in escrow. I am the only law firm in the country that has done over $100 million transactions per transaction, and I paid Skadden a lot of money because just like Ripple, if I lost, I wanted to point my finger at Skadden. See, only the lawyer got one.
I would say you should have come to us, but maybe not.
So here's a question. We only have 2 minutes left. Okay, I am, or I used to be in a former life, a certified asset protection specialist. So if we are going to play, and this is such a regulatory quagmire here, what about, you keep saying offshore, but I live here. So how do I protect myself, my assets? I mean, if they can go after Mega in New Zealand and Kim.com and create a fictional nexus, take all of his shit, how do I keep my shit safe?
Well, first of all,
Lawyer.
I know people aren't going to agree with this. I believe in centralization. I go on TV all the time and I say all of my crypto is at Coinbase. And then people say, why? So that if someone comes up to me after this conference and says, give me all your crypto, I say, dude, my stuff is locked up for 7 days, needs triple authentication, 5 different people to sign off on it. And if you still steal it from me, I have insurance, I'm going to get it back. So that's the answer on what to do with your crypto. How do you offshore a business that's not legal in the US? I leave that for other people. I tell everyone my favorite, I do a lot of consulting for hedge funds nowadays. The old business model in hedge funds was very simple. Invest in 10 companies, 2 are gonna go 10, 20, 30x, the other 8 are gonna fail. In crypto now, what I do is I knock out 2 of their investments that are gonna fail, so I actually let them invest in 12 companies, and their chance of ROI goes up exponentially by at least 20%. And the easiest way to see, and they say to me, well, how do you decide? The very easiest, when I go out to dinner with someone, and he's telling me about his penthouse apartment in Miami, he's driving a Ferrari, and then I say, okay, where's this investment? Oh, and he introduces me to the whole team, and they all live in Miami. Where's the investments? We're going to Seychelles. One of you 5 people point to Seychelles on the map. Oh, very simple. Be careful where you invest your money. You don't want to lose it. Invest in the United States. We are the greatest country in the world for a reason.
And that's also because we have lawyers who can sue people who do you wrong.
And also, we tell our clients that we send offshore not to sell anything to people in the United States, so it's a little moot.
No, I mean like me. So, and when you say illegal in the United States, I'm thinking bleeding edge innovation, things that are good for the world. Like, why is the water in Flint, Michigan still not fixed? Stuff like that. That we want to do good, but we're out of time. So you guys are going to have to
No time to do good.
find us later at the after party and have more
party.
conversations. Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate you.
Pleasure.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Super